This episode of the SwitchCast is produced by Joshua Makan, our honored patron and Switch Cat.
Hey everybody, I'm Casey.
And I'm JV.
And this is the SwitchCast, a Nintendo Switch podcast, but the Nintendo Switch community. And we are here with a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. A few games that we played. We got some community happenings going on, a few newses, and a whole lot of stuff to discuss.
Yeah.
Fresh from the mouths of the community.
It seems like we're always starting our episodes with a tournament announcement of some sort, Casey.
I want to keep them going. No stop.
Honestly, I can't complain about it whatsoever. These tournaments really hype up the community week after week.
Yes, this Saturday, for those who are not familiar, we have the ARMS Switch Cup. That's going to be Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We started working out some rules, and there's actually a link in the show notes to our Facebook event with the full list of rules. But I've gotten at least about 20 entrants so far. So we have a very good-sized group. We had to discuss a few things, though. A few issues came up, so I decided on a double elimination tournament. And that means you have to lose twice before you're out of it. And the main thing was we were choosing the weapons we want to have for this tournament. So we decided on everyone using whatever character, but only the default arms. Because I just kind of wanted to eliminate any crazy combos that are out there that are just like maybe a little too high level for our casual level of tournament here.
Right, yeah. It's, in a way, these signature arms are the most balanced. It's the easiest for Nintendo to balance because those are set. They know how they interact with other arms plus character combinations, and, that's a good level playing field for now.
Yeah, but the main controversy came up when we realized that there's the ARMS Plus, and with ARMS Plus basically comes a intrinsic advantage to certain players who have leveled up pre-equipped like the default arms for the characters. And there's really nothing we can do to mitigate this in the tournament, short of, I heard some tournaments force everybody to have a fresh account, or if it's a live tournament like in person, they just use a cartridge that has erased data on it. But there's really no way we could get around this, little bit of an edge that some people are going to have. Some people just have more leveled up arms.
It's hard to say how we should really direct this tournament in that way. If you guys have any feedback about what we should do with plus arms, let us know. Email kc@theswitchcast.com to see if you guys have any preference of how we're handling it.
But there's really, that's the thing. We've been trying to talk about it, and if anyone has a solution, definitely let me know. But there really doesn't seem to be. There's no option to turn off plus arms, which I feel is kind of a mistake with a game like this.
I definitely agree. I feel like there should be a mode that is consistent and clean without any of those extra bonuses. A toggle, honestly, or a mode would fix something like this, but it's not available, and we'll have to figure out whether what we'll do about this.
Yeah, because each level of plus is like 5 more damage for that weapon,
right?
And that does add up. Yeah. So I'm a little uncomfortable. I feel like a patch or something in the future should be there. But then again, I wonder if they did even patch it, would people ever play competitively with plus arms unless they had it either maxed out or all zeroed out? I don't know. Well,
but regardless, we're still having this tournament. We're still going to go headfirst into the ARMS Switch Cup, and you guys definitely just prepare yourselves, practice your gameplay, and get into the arena this weekend.
These are aspects of the game we would probably never have touched upon or realized had we not set up such a tournament where it mattered. So it's kind of let us get a little deeper look. And I'm very curious to see what strategies people are going to stick to and prevail with. I even added on the sign-up sheet, I wanted to ask everybody who their preferred main character is. Just, not that you have to use them for the tournament, but I just kind of want to see what they go in with. and see if that matches up with which ones do well or who they end up using in the end. Right. I'm also going to have to look at the stages because I know the stages have a big variance in what potential for certain characters. So I'm probably going to assign, basically the equivalent of like Final Destination for certain. There's some people who figured out which are the most fair stages that have the least kind of edges for certain characters.
And we've gotten some feedback regarding what stages we should allow and which ones we shouldn't allow. Yeah. And that's something that we will let you guys know of.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And again, another tournament thing, this is something for a game that's not even out yet, but it's also spurred an interesting conversation, was we mentioned that Chess Ultra game coming to the Switch.
It looks so sleek, and I think it's probably the most enticing 3D chess experience I've seen so far.
Yeah, and it's actually in VR. I didn't realize this on the PlayStation and Xbox versions. Like, you could actually look around the room and move your pieces with your hand. Not that that's necessarily a game-selling feature for a chess game, but it's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
But what I'm curious now to think, since all these people are asking about doing a tournament, and we definitely will if people are into it, there's so many free options to play on chess, and very conveniently for anyone who has a smartphone especially. So it kind of makes me wonder if a chess game on a console like this, how does it really compete? Is it worth it to really invest in this 3D chess kind of experience when there are huge communities with really strong apps out there? And for free. So it's kind of it's a tough call to make, I have to say.
What makes Chess Ultra stand out above just normal chess apps on your phone is the fact that it's just so grand in its presentation. I feel like if we're going to do a Chess Ultra tournament, we're playing because of that grand spectacle while we're playing the game with the stakes of a tournament.
Because, here's the other thing, though. When I play, a bunch of us just today jumped into the chess.com app, and I have it on my phone, and it has a lot of cool features, and we're playing each other, and I can get updates on people's moves anywhere because my phone is always online. So, my Switch, on the other hand, it's not a constantly online machine. So unless I'm playing it completely at home, it feels like it kind of has that lost functionality of I have to hit a Wi-Fi station before the next time I can update moves in a competition.
Right. There's definitely an undeniable presentation difference between something like Chess Ultra and a chess app on the phone. Apparently, there's also lots of modes in Chess Ultra that give you a bunch of training options to improve your game, and that's something that you also have to pay for on those other apps. But it's a bit of a question mark, really, whether we want to push a tournament for chess and force you guys to purchase, or just stick with a free option.
I like that way you put that, but force them to purchase.
in a way, it would be, because Chess Ultra is definitely something that's really interesting, and it's a cool take on a classic game like chess. It is in a unique situation where there are plenty of other ways to play the game.
Yeah, no, it's true. So, we'll see how that goes. But let's talk about the games we have now that we have been playing over in the game time.
Yeah, let's go.
Alright, so I want to kick off game time with the game I just beat about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, living on the edge, aren't you, Casey?
Yes. Well, I came back from a camping trip. I tried to... This is a game I probably could have finished faster. Phantom Trigger.
Okay, so it's not an incredibly long game.
Right. I would say one playthrough is about 7 hours.
Okay, that's respectable.
It's pretty good for the, indie. It's a pretty cheap game. And it was a great experience. I didn't play over the weekend because, whenever I'm camping, I try to, game detox a little bit and come home hungry for more. But So Phantom Trigger, all in all, I can give a full review because I've experienced pretty much all there is to it here. So yeah, it is a very kind of a hack and slash game. It unlike Hyper Light Drifter, which I know people compare it to, which is a little more exploration, a little more of this mystery behind the world and stuff like that. It's not so much about the exploration. The maps feel just like, here's some tunnels. Find the MacGuffins you have to grab along the way, and then find the exit, and just kill what you can. Killing things leveled up my weapons, which was nice, but after a while, when my weapons maxed out, there was no reason to fight things anymore. So I just ended up running past everything I could until I was trapped in a room that doesn't let you out until you kill everybody. I unlocked all those spells I mentioned, like weird attack combos, and there's a lot of them, and there's use sword, fist, and you set off an ice bomb, or if you use whip, sword, you do the spin attack, and all these kind of cool combos with the different lasery weapons that you have in the thing. And they really do feel like they give you crazy options no matter what they throw at you. And they do throw at you a lot of different enemies, which was my fear when I was getting into this last week, because I felt that the biggest weakness with one of their last games with Mr. Shifty, which just feels a little bit like in the way you move and stuff.
Right. It was how the game and experience ended, right?
Well, that was one of the big things too, yes. But the other thing was that it was just very repetitive enemies. There was maybe very few new enemies. This has a pretty good supply of not just new enemies, but, here's an enemy that you fought before, but now he has this ice ability, like a slight variation.
Right.
And,
okay, so it definitely seems like the enemies you're facing have quite a bit more diversity in how you have to handle them.
Yes, and yes, what you said, though, the bosses, the fact that there is bosses in this game was a big divergence from that, and that they are interesting. They're not just... here's an enemy, here's his weak point, hit it when you can and survive. They are heavily leaning on the figure out how to do damage to this guy. The first guy, is pretty easy. You just kind of have to wait for a certain thing to appear that you can throw at him and, do that a certain number of times and survive. Once you figure out how to do damage to them, they're not hard at all, but you do have to kind of think outside the box for some of them. Okay. Some of them, it's not obvious, and that's really the challenge. And if you don't think that way, you will just be beating your head against the wall. The second boss was the first one that I was I don't know how to hurt this thing. What am I doing? And I spent 5 or 6 tries not doing anything and just dying, and eventually I was okay, stop just trying to attack stuff. Let me think about this environment. Let me think about what it is, what it's doing, what can I interact with on the screen, and then I finally figured it out.
Okay,
and,
so it kind of sounds a little bit like a puzzle type situation.
It is somewhat. Yeah. It is definitely like that, yes.
It sounds reminiscent to Dark Souls, where the bosses are very difficult if you don't know how to approach it from the start.
Yeah. This is just all or nothing. Once you figure out what to do, they are trivially easy. It's just executing and figuring out what to do. I will say, though, some of the bosses, even the last actual boss I fought, did not feel that interesting or that clever. But the middle couple of bosses were really challenging and fun. So that was good.
Okay, now considering what you just said, though, does that mean that there's an impact on replayability for this game? That difficulty of figuring out the boss is kind of gone once you know what its weakness is, essentially?
Yeah. The bosses aren't a main focus of the game, but I do think that, yes, they will not mean much in replays. The big draw for the replays, there's 2 reasons I will replay this. 1, multiple endings, right? As I was playing through the game, without giving any spoilers, though, there are dialogues that you will have with certain characters, both in the game world that you're playing in and some real world events that are happening that are related. All right. So you kind of flash back and forth between this fantasy world that you're in and these real world events that are related to it. That's the only way I can put it.
Okay.
And there seems to be so not only do your choices there matter, but there are certain items that you have to get and give to characters in the game to influence the ending. Now, this brings me to one of the game's biggest problems I have, is that it needs a map. This game, you can just wander around to dead ends and not know if you've covered every possible branch. Like, especially if these items are so important to getting the story you want. I feel that just giving me some kind of map to see if I've gone down every tunnel would be handy, because it's not like there's a lot of landmarks to know if, have I been over here before? These monsters, there's dead monsters here, but there's also respawned monsters, so it's hard to tell if I just, was here or not.
Okay.
So I did spend a lot of time just circling around, hoping I didn't miss some passageway to get an item I need.
Okay. Now, with that being said, is the story compelling enough to, I guess, push you to want to play more playthroughs?
The only reason, now I'll say to play through it again, I probably am not interested to do it just for the story, but the second reason I would replay it is enough combined to push me through it again, and that there is a co-op mode.
Oh, okay. So, interesting.
Yes, and you can share the joy, so you only need, half a Joy-Con, so you can give it to, your friend. And that would be worth playing it again in this 2-player mode. I'd probably get through things faster, a little easier, a little more fun, and then I can probably be more motivated to go and get those items I need and make sure I try out all the different things I could say to get the endings that I want to see.
Okay. I can see that.
I will say the ending I got was rather short and abrupt. Obviously, it was not the best ending. It was an interesting ending. It was more of an ending than Mr. Shifty got, which I will leave at that. But it was fitting. It had a good climax, and then I was like, okay, but it was pretty short and abrupt. I feel like the best ending might, flesh things out a little bit more, since you're gonna have to, do a little work for that.
Right, exactly. But overall, your experience was a positive one with Phantom Trigger?
My final opinion on it is, this is a very good game that could have been truly memorable and great if it took a little more work in making this game. It's a good game. They put in a lot of work, but I feel like if it was a game that got, let's say, another 6 months of development to like flesh out the world and maybe give more uniqueness to the places that you visit, it would probably be like a must-have legendary game. But it's still a very good game. It's at a very good price, and I had a lot of fun for the amount of time I played with it. And I said it's a good game for me to save as another thing to multiplay with and share the joy.
That's a good way to put it, ultimately, I guess. So, is this a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
It's a thumbs up. No,
okay.
It's definitely a thumbs up. And, for nothing else, great graphics. I love the style. It's got good sound. The music's there, and the sound of your attacks. And just, you feel, as you learn those attacks, you feel powerful, and there's a lot of cool tools to just handle all sorts of things. Oh, there's also some arena mode. I haven't really delved into that too, but I think it's just a endless grind of monsters in case you aren't tired of
right, endlessly grinding of monsters in this story.
Yeah, there's enough grinding of monsters.
Oh, either way, yeah, I feel like if I were to delve into the game, the aesthetic of it really would push me to explore this game further than say something else that I didn't really care to look at.
Yeah, that's it. That also gets me through it a lot too. It is very cool.
The style overall, yeah.
So you were supposed to be getting Sonic Mania this week, the big game of the week, yes?
Yeah, see, everyone was getting Sonic Mania on Tuesday of this week. I believe that is yesterday, the 15th. I was so excited for Sonic Mania. I got super pumped yesterday. But then I found out that my Sonic Mania Collector's Edition is coming in later this week, not on Tuesday. I was hoping to play it before this episode so I could talk about it, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So, if you guys are really pumped about Sonic Mania, I'll definitely be talking about it next week for sure.
We'll give you a rain check on that. I did get to look at it briefly though at my last gaming group.
Okay.
I got to literally 20 seconds of holding it in my hand, and it is. I was never a Sonic player, and I did get to try it way back when they had the Nintendo those events to try the Switch out before it came out.
Yeah. It's such a throwback to how it used to be.
Yeah, and that I feel like everybody so far that has played it that I've talked to has been breathing like a sigh of relief that it's like, yes, they did it. We just wanted them to make good classic Sonic game, not 3D RPG werewolf Sonic game. Just
yeah. Honestly, you're absolutely right though. While I definitely was a fan of very specific 3D Sonic games, it's always been a recurring thread where people were just requesting the old Sonic that they loved back. Why are they even bothering with the 3D stuff? They should just go back to the 2D stuff that made Sonic popular. That was a long-running thread in every single Sonic game that came out since Sonic Adventure 1. And now that they really dove headfirst back into the Sonic 2D gameplay, man, it's kicking butt apparently, and I can't wait to get my hands on it.
It's like I would like it. It's the Mega Man 9 of the Sonic world. It's the modern day classic one that just feels like an earnest game that was developed back then when the level designs were all that mattered. It didn't need the gimmicks, and it's got the Tails. It's got the Tails multiplayer.
Yeah, it's got Knuckles too.
Yeah. And you don't, a player 2 can control Tails. I believe he's invincible. Like, if he gets, left behind, he just kind of flies to catch up and stuff. And, he's just like, I'm helping.
It's such a classic co-op experience. And I can't wait to get into it. Though, speaking of which, I did get into another, platforming demo that came out this week. Rayman Legends. The demo came out this week.
Oh, very cool, very cool. I know you were telling me that this is another series I've never played really, and it's always seems to have gotten good responses from people, so I'd love to hear a little bit more in depth about how this game goes.
Right, so this is Rayman Legends. The definitive edition is coming out on the Switch. It's not fully out yet, but the demo was released this week, and I'm enamored by this game as well, Casey. Rayman Legends is one of those games where it's been re-released quite a number of times, and my first foray into it was on the Wii U, and now that it's on the Switch with a definitive edition, I feel like the portability of this is going to really kick butt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Casey. So, opening up the demo, it's kind of similar to the Rayman Legends demos of the past, but if you've never tried Rayman Legends before, it is the demo is very meaty. It gives you so much content to try out the new Rayman Legends stuff. Have you ever seen Rayman Legends, really, Casey?
No, I've never played a Rayman. I've never even seen it, so I know next to nothing about its gameplay or style. The only one I've even seen really was that musical one where it's the runner where you
right,
just jump
yeah, exactly.
into the music.
Yes. So, you're a little floating character with a floating head, kind of attached to a floating body and floating
So
limbs.
you're Homestar Runner.
Yeah, in a way, yes, you actually kind of are. You jump up through different locations, and it's pretty classic platforming. And if you jump, you can double jump and your ears spin to hover, kind of like with Tails from Sonic. Now, in the demo, it gives you about 3 to 5 levels that you can try out. The first 2, I think it was Teensy's Trouble and Toad Story. They just showcase how the basic game functionality. So, basic jumping and floating with your hover ability, gather a certain number of Teensies within a level, which is kind of like the red coins of Rayman.
Okay.
So yeah, you collect all these and then you reach the very end of the stage and that's it. What makes this game really stand out above other platformers is just the sheer amount of humor and lightheartedness of it.
Okay.
It's a very pretty, almost hand-drawn style with a fluid 60 frames per second animation. and just running through the platforming is quite a nice experience. But Ubisoft really went off the walls with this game. You mentioned previously they have one of the demo stages is called Castle Rock, and it's essentially you just running through crumbling castles while cartoonized version of Black Betty plays, and you're supposed to jump along with the music, and it's like going with the tune, and then you're just collecting things, you're jumping in with the tune, things are exploding around you, you have to hit things at the same time as the tune. It's awesome. You see skeletons like playing axe guitars in the background, and people cheering when you're supposed to be cheering in the song, and that level of fun and humor is really what sets the mood for this game, Casey.
Sounds like a party.
Well, yeah. What's great about it is that it also does have co-op multiplayer options as well. It does. Yeah, you can play multiple players in the same screen. But what's great, and something that transferred over from the Wii U version, there's this character called Murphy that's a floating little fairy frog, which is hilarious in his own way. And you can essentially use that character to manipulate the area around you. So while you're running through the platforms with Rayman himself, Murphy is floating around, and you can use Murphy to cut down ropes holding up platforms to drop down other platforms for Rayman to jump on, or to manipulate people and tickle them to kind of paralyze them while Rayman hits them hard with his own punches, or drag certain ropes from one area to another to give Rayman a platform to swing on. It's that type of stuff. And this is a co-op experience as well. So while one player is playing as Rayman doing the platformer, another person with another Switch can use the touchscreen to control Murphy and manipulate all these platforms for Rayman to use.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that concept too, and it's not superficial. The levels themselves are designed to have Murphy be able to contribute almost as equally as Rayman himself. And that's what I think really makes this game stand out even further. The co-op experience is asymmetrical, and frankly, it's a lot of fun to be able to do that. And I believe there's a bit of a teaser of that experience within the demo itself.
Nice. Now, how long was the demo anyway?
There's 5 stages. It was Teensy Trouble, Toad Story, the Castle Rock stage, which is about a minute or 2 minutes long, and then the Murphy co-op experience centered mode, and then like a mini Kung Fu soccer mini game.
No, I like that. That sounds like a very nice meaty demo.
I feel like Ubisoft is willing to go kind of quirky and weird with the Rayman franchise, since Rayman Legends came out essentially reviving that franchise from nothing.
So what's Rayman's deal? Like, who's his Bowser? Or like, does he have a story? Is he saving a princess or something?
I think he's saving those little teensy creatures that are trapped by some weird bad guy. I never really paid attention to the story, to be honest, and it doesn't really touch on it that much on the demo. Who cares about the story about these things, Casey?
Yeah, it's that thing. It's like, hey, look, you're Sonic, you're saving animals. Everyone knows who Dr. Eggman / Robotnik is, Yeah,
that's fair.
Like, a little bit of it. Everyone knows Bowser kidnaps Princess Toadstool. It's like, no one, cares about the story, but it's there. It's just a little iconic thing about it. I was always curious. I just look at Rayman. I'm like, what is he possibly doing? I don't know what his shtick is.
I think his primary enemy is some sort of admiral pirate guy.
Okay.
I don't think it's particularly fleshed out, or at least it's nowhere near as iconic as someone like Robotnik or Eggman. But Rayman himself, he has a name, and now he has great games that back his name.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's a fun experience, and even if you just want to play the demo and you're curious, pick up the demo for free. It's quite a bit of content for no cost to yourself.
The only other thing I was playing a little bit this week, I actually took my first dive into Splatoon 2's League mode.
Ooh, okay. Like the most hardcore of competitive modes in the game.
Yes. So we got our team, we got the Inquisition together. And, if I hit my B- ranking, and I actually got up to like B+ in one of those different games there. But so yeah, we got a team together. We got a foursome. Went to League mode. And we proceeded to spend the rest of the night just getting demolished and humiliated. It is brutal. There is no such thing as, we had our player rankings, and, you lose, it drops. And I guess if you win a game, it would go up. But I never saw that. We did win a couple of rounds. We did win a couple of rounds, but it was like, it feels like they're just, everyone who plays there is really hot. Like nobody's playing it who's like super low level. There's not going to be a casual team as far as I've seen so far. In fact, I ended up playing the same teams multiple times throughout the night. So there can't be that many League teams even on there, I feel like.
Right.
I repeat playing them all.
Yeah. I doubt there's going to be that many people who have access to League mode and have a full team of 4 readily available to compete with.
I guess so. So yeah, I definitely would say we do feel like we did better as the night went on, and we started getting a little more
confident,
a little more, upped our game. We started, I started realizing a bit more about how I have to really communicate and, be kind of a team leader and coordinate, say, hey, we're all going to attack at this time, that kind of thing. But, the main thing was we just wanted to get one last win. Like, we wanted to get a third win for the night. And we just kept saying, all right, we got to do this before 10 o'clock. All right, we got to do this before 10:30, guys.
We got to just win one. Just one.
Yeah. That we saw some teams that had definitely some interesting compositions. Like, I think that air gun, what is the one that's like the spray gun? It's the one that looks like the air-powered one, but
right.
I saw a team that was like all 4 players did that, and they just they just, blitzkrieged us. It was pretty rough, but there were some teams that definitely had a nice, you can tell, all right, they had these 3 guys who went to capture certain points, and there would be the one guy who stayed back with the paintbrush to catch people from behind, and the skills definitely made a bigger difference there. Like, I definitely knew, all right, I need to have this, for my strategy, I need to have the ink saver or something like that. But yeah, it's intense, it's hard, and I'm going to definitely still stick with it and try to practice and get a team that's at least.
Did you feel like your losses were warranted, or were they stolen from you because they had that much better equipment as opposed to skill?
I never felt the equipment was like the breaking thing. It was definitely we were definitely, when we lost, it was outskilled, or just, maybe like they made a last push at the end. The only plus I'll say in League mode is, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose fast most of the time, so you get to start another chance.
That's very reassuring, Casey. If you're losing, you're just going to lose really quickly so you can go into another game and lose again.
No, at least then you have that chance. You roll the dice, maybe the next people, there was, like I said, there was 1 or 2 teams that we did seem to have just an edge over, and maybe it was just our style was a good rock to their scissors. I don't know.
Now that's the thing. I'm thinking about it, and perhaps having the modes limited to 2 maps at a time gives teams an advantage. Because if you're able to see the 2 maps that are available to people, you can pre-plan strategies for those 2 maps and then really grind it out based on what map is there. Because
that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, because if you have every map available to you at all times, you can't laser focus a strategy quite as much, since you have to always keep changing it up based on what map you're experiencing.
Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable assessment of it.
Yeah, and I suspect the best players in the league mode are probably doing just that. They probably have a game plan for exactly the maps that are available and just executing as best they can.
But I won't dwell too much on it. I did not actually play that much of it, so we'll see how our team evolves over time.
Yeah, and I definitely have league mode unlocked myself, so I'm going to be jumping into that mode sometime soon, and I'm both excited and frightened.
Are you going to do duo, or are you going to go for a full foursome?
It depends. I probably will try to do a full four, but, we'll see, schedule allowing.
I'll give this little piece of advice for anyone who wants to try it out. Also, I think finding actually a group of 6 total is a pretty good idea in that... So you that way, because not everyone can always make every time that you want to play. But if you have, let's say, a team of 6, so let's say everyone shows up, you guys play as your foursome, and then have like the designated duo that practice and play their thing. But if someone's missing, a character from your duo can fill in for the 4 team, and then maybe you cycle out a player every couple of times, and if 2 people don't show up, well, you still have a foursome going. So I think if you're looking to really dedicate yourself to getting good in League, finding basically a 6 team with 2 auxiliaries is kind of the way to go for maximum smoothness.
So you have a bench, Casey?
Basically, we called in a couple of backups, and they're like, all right, yeah, but they still basically we'll look at them as they are primarily a duo that just fills in when the foursome can't, because you can't have 3 players, you can't have 1 missing slot on your team, so you have to have at least 4. So you need someone to fill that slot if someone can't make it.
Now, I am wondering, does your practice of League mode, does it make you feel like a better player in the other modes of the game?
I would say so, because I'm a little more aware of the team. I definitely react a little bit more. I notice when I play, let's say just regular turf wars, or just regular ranked mode for that matter. Even though the people are more disparate and they're not working as a team, I kind of have a better idea of if I check the map a lot more often. Let me put it that way. And that became a very big key that I learned, is checking that and just kind of assessing, okay, what are we doing and where do I need to be in order to help us do that better?
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the thing. So anyway, let's move on. I know that we got another HDE accessory.
Yeah, absolutely. I picked up their bright red HDE Nintendo Switch case. And to be honest, this is one solid case. I'm really digging how protective this thing is.
Okay. So it's a hard case. Now you also have, do you have the Zelda case? Is it similar to that one, or have you gotten your hands on that before also?
All right, so the Zelda case is a bit more longer and lengthwise, while this has a bit of a thicker feel to it. It has a handle at the top that you can use to carry it, and it's closed by a zipper. What I like most about this case is that the carbon fiber texture of the outside of it looks really appealing, and the inside of it, the mesh that holds the top part, is a tight fit that doesn't seem like it's going to stretch out too much. And the bottom layer has indentions that let you rest your Switch on it quite perfectly. So,
okay. So it also can prop up your Switch, kind of like a pedestal, you're saying?
No, it's I'm saying that there's indentions at the bottom that cradle the exact shape of the back of the Switch. And some cases don't have that. I like that this one does.
Oh, you mean on the inside? I see what you're saying.
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
On the inside, there's indentions that you can rest your Switch on. Now, the biggest concern of cases is generally the shakeability of the Switch. If you shake a case with a Switch inside of it, does it shake? That's not really a concern with this case, and I dig it a lot.
How tightly? So is it pretty closely tight fitting around the Switch itself?
Yeah,
is the case itself pretty compact?
Essentially, it opens up into 2 halves, and one half is the size of the Switch. while the other half is a big open space that you can stuff accessories or cables into. And while I did think that was a bit of a concern at first, I was kind of worried that a lot of the space would be wasted and that there would be a lot of shifting of the Switch itself inside of the case. But yeah, no, that's not a problem at all.
Okay, and it has little cartridge holders in there?
Yes, it can hold 10 cartridges, and it's definitely bulkier than a lot of Switch cases out there. So if you don't want something that's super big and bulky, this might not be the case for you, but honestly, you can stuff a lot of things in here. Looking at the empty space at the top part, you can put in a cable, a pair of Joy-Con clips. I feel like you can even just put in actual Joy-Cons in here. That's just how much extra space this case gives you. But yeah, I like it. It's definitely not something that I would personally carry around on the go everywhere, just because it's a pretty big package. But other than that, I like just how protective it can be.
I'm looking at the pictures of it. It has what it looks like. Is there like a little tongue that covers the screen when it's in there or something?
Right. Yeah. It's a little cloth that covers the screen, and you put the cartridges in the pouches on that little tongue, and then you have another pouch at the top where you put the rest of the stuff in. All of your accessories.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, I did.
Yeah, it looks pretty big. And just so the people know, this is it's $13. There is a link to it on our show notes for the Amazon in case you're interested in it.
Yeah, it's totally worth $13, I'd say. It's that's a good price for it, honestly. Just for the sheer quality of the product and the fact that it comes with screen protectors that you can use if you really want to.
Okay, yes, okay. It comes with those as well. Nice. And so, yeah, we'll have a link to that there. And if anyone is also interested in other HDE stuff, we will be having those as prizes for this weekend's ARMS tournament. And we posted a picture of all those little pieces of paraphernalia that you can choose from if you're one of the two winners of the competition this weekend.
Right, exactly.
All right, so check all that out. Thank you again, guys, for sending us these cool items to review. And on that note, we should shift gears and hit the road on the news section.
Let's do it.
So news rundown, starting off, I think this is pretty cool that we got a glimpse at a possible new feature that will be, or a new service, I guess you could say, for people. If you haven't bought your Switch yet, or maybe you just want to buy some Joy-Cons and stuff, it looks like there's a Japanese page being set up so that people can customize their Switch before they buy it.
Yeah, I really like this functionality, actually, and it essentially lets you choose a color for your Joy-Con left, a color for your Joy-Con right, a color each for the little clips, and and you can mix and match all the different colors to see how the Switch would look like when it's all put together.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that, that's that little feature there, because I know there's already people who are trying to collect all the different Joy-Cons.
AKA myself.
Yes,
myself.
Exactly. But just being able to pick from all these things, because I didn't care for the red and blue to begin with. I did go with the boring gray, but you know what? If I was buying one from scratch right now, or even if I was just buying another pair of Joy-Cons, I might consider some of these different options. I mean, they have included in there, it looks like that ARMS yellow kind of color that people are looking for, and it's a pretty cool selection, and I'm sure that, there's going to be people who invent pretty cool combinations, like they try to make, I don't know, like an Italian flag out of them or something like that.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of possibilities to how you're going to make your Switch look with this.
Yes, and so far I have every single Switch color except for the green and hot pink Splatoon ones. So this kind of helps me dress up my Switch on how I feel like it should look for the day.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Oh gosh, you're gonna wear it for different days.
Well, I mean,
different Switch colors.
I've mostly been sticking with pure red or pure blue or pure yellow on both sides, but I'm digging the left blue, right yellow KC, or even the left red, right yellow. That's pretty interesting combinations. I like it.
We're going dancing. Bring your red Joy-Cons.
Yeah, that's the thing. I like that you're able to see the combinations on this thing.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
Exactly. Speaking of to-go accessories, it looks like the OJO or OHO aims to be the first dedicated Nintendo Switch projector. This means that it's essentially a portable dock that you can put the Switch on, and it's attached to a projector, an LED mini projector that projects what's supposed to be on the screen onto a window.
That's actually pretty nice because it's like kind of having a portable television for the Switch now.
Right, exactly. It's, you won't need a television in order to play. You can take this outside and play the Switch on a white sheet while camping, or if you really need to go somewhere that won't really have a television around, bam, bring this thing and project it onto a wall.
Yeah, I mean, even if you want to like play it like at work and don't want to have to set up and the Switch or the wires or like that, normally to the TV, you could just have this, in your backpack. It's pretty small. It's not like pocket small, but it's small enough. It looks like that you can easily put it in your backpack.
Right,
and just whip it out for situations like this.
It's not that much bigger than this HDE Nintendo Switch case that I was talking about earlier.
Okay. Yes.
So yeah, it's something that is portable enough to put into a backpack. Which is not bad. Apparently, it has 4 hours of life, 200 lumens, so that's how bright it is. That can cut through any sunlight or glare. It has stereo speakers of its own and can project about a 30 to 120 inch screen, which is not bad for something this portable. And
it has 4 hours of play from its own battery. So even if you're not playing this, as you said, like if you're playing it at a camping trip or someplace where you're not actually able to plug it in even, that's 4 hours of Switch play on a, big screen-ish kind of setup that anyone can join in. That's really cool.
Now, I do have to say, their website is non-functional. Their website is yesoho.com. That's yesojo.com, and it's minus points for website design. Sorry.
Yeah, they're an unproven company. This isn't available yet. This is going to go to a possibly an Indiegogo or some other crowdfunding site. They haven't yet launched that, but they will be launching that soon, they said, and we will definitely have a link to wherever they do launch that as soon as that's there. So keep checking our show notes or on the website.
Now, I guess one final cool part about this product is that it does have an HDMI input support, so theoretically you can use this as a projector for anything. It doesn't have to be just for the Switch.
Well, there you go. So it's pretty versatile, so you don't have to feel like, you're only buying it for that. It'll have some good use. Cool.
It seems pretty promising, but we'll see. It's an Indiegogo after all.
We got a quick sneak peek at some new update gear for Splatoon 2 also. They're going to have some summer outfits starting this weekend. At least in Japan, we got to see some of this on their Twitter there, but we'll be sure to be getting that soon. It says from August 11th to 16th. That's at least the Japanese date, but again, I'm pretty sure it'll be coming out here too, and it just looks like some cool, summery t-shirts, shoes, hats, shades, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's great. So, it's great for people who want to, who are really particular about the aesthetic of their Inkling, and some people are like that, and this is really for those people.
Oh yeah, I eat it up because this does feel like it is such a summer game, in my opinion. It feels like a giant water fight, and just that refreshing sound when you're squiddling Inkling dives into the water there.
It's like bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah, you're going into, it's like diving into a pool a little bit and wading through it. Now, I wonder what they're going to do for winter outfits, if that really changes it up.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I think that's definitely something to look forward to. They said that we're going to be getting updates for a year, and then we're going to get, Splatfest for 2 years. So we should probably get something for every season, I'd imagine.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Probably Christmas gear, I imagine.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
So we also got some interesting, we got some news that the Switch screen supplier in Japan could be going out of business. They seem to be having some financial troubles, and especially with Apple kind of switching from, because they both use the same type of screens, and they've been fighting over these supplies for a while. Apple's though an exponentially larger purchaser of them in the past. But they're moving over to OLED screens, so they're not using the same kind of material or technology as the Switch ones, and that's kind of hurting the company. It means Nintendo will be able to get their hands on more of them for the short term, which means we could probably see faster production of the Switches to fill the needs in the near future. But it sounds like it's possible this could be a big enough deal that Nintendo might have to make a model change in the not too distant future with the Switch. Perhaps, maybe it'll come just in time. Maybe Nintendo will be like, all right, well, we were planning on designing the, Switch 2.0 or whatever we call it, and this could just be an impetus for that in the future. But we don't know how that's going to go in the time being.
Yeah, this is very heady business-related news. And it's hard to predict how this is going to affect the Switch in the future. Yeah. But this is definitely not something that you as a very informed Switch consumer can completely ignore. But yeah, it's something to look out for in the future.
Yeah, it's just something I feel that's interesting in general for the Switch. And like I said, it could lead to or could influence future redesigns of the system.
Right, exactly.
A few games we got to see down the pipe. I looked at Necrocosmos, which is on Kickstarter right now, and it has 14 days ago, and just wanted to point this game out. It looks like a pretty cool platformer space adventure game with it's like an old school kind of almost like NES graphics, I want to say, but with a kind of a dark twist. It starts out very fun kind of things and then gets a little darker as the game goes on there. But
now, did you see this other game that's coming out, Bounty Battle? It's just
this looks interesting. I'm not excited because it's not my kind of game, but I definitely think this is a fun and interesting addition to this genre of game.
Right. So Bounty Battle is a platform fighter, kind of like Super Smash Brothers or Brawlout.
As I said, I'm calling them Smash likes.
I think it is a bit more different than Smash since it does look like it's utilizing a different health system and physics system. But what makes this stand out is that it's also trying to be a indie character gallery of sorts. Yeah. So how Super Smash Brothers is a Nintendo gallery of characters, Bounty Battle includes characters from Awesomenauts, Guacamelee, Darkest Dungeon, etc. So
yeah, pretty cool. Yeah. Those are some very classic games that
classic indie games,
got a lot of attention.
For sure.
Yeah. I feel like it's not a cast of characters that people will be like, oh, I love all these characters, but I feel like it's going to be the kind of game where someone's like, this one character is someone I really like, and I'm going to be playing it because they're in it.
Right, exactly. And I'm noticing that this type of indie compilation game style is really picking up. So there's Bounty Battle, which has all these indie characters. There's Brawlout, which has its own dedicated set of characters, but is throwing in the Hyper Light Drifter character in that game as well. Mm-hmm. And there's a game like Blade Stranger that's bringing a bunch of other independent games into one single fighting game. And I think this is happening a lot more often, and I wonder just how this is all going to play out. I wonder if they're going to run out of indie games that people care about to pull characters from. It's interesting that this is a way they're going to try to appeal to as many players as possible.
Well, you know, the indies are just, you know, they are gaining following now. And even though they are indies, like one indie doesn't necessarily have legions of fans, but you know, you pick 8 indies, throw them together, and now suddenly you have, you know, 8 different groups of small groups of fans that come together over something.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Nicholas, who, you know, are doing that Blade Stranger game there, they mentioned they're trying to bring over a game. I'm not sure how many people are familiar with this, called Night Trap.
Night Trap.
Have you ever heard of this one?
Something says something, Night Trap. Is that the one?
This was like
it was
full
this
motion
one.
video game. Yeah. Where
you've heard that song, right?
Like a murderer running around some like slumber party of girls.
Yeah.
And it was
That's
pretty
exactly
controversial game back in the day. Yeah. Okay. And so you have to, you know, kind of like protect the girls from it. But it's basically a game where, you know, it was made mostly to have teenage girls in 90s running around in fear and and to fan service in that way. So, but hey, it has this weird cult following who love it because it's just so blatantly weird and
it's so campy and cheesy.
That's the word, campy. That's the word I was looking for.
And you know, there's definitely an appeal to that style of game or movie, and it's essentially an ironic enjoyment of the game.
It's just funny because I remember like one of my old podcasts when I did a show called Game Station Radio, and we all did a list of our like top favorite like girls of gaming or something like that. And one of our hosts there just said like, my number 2 is that girl that doesn't have a name from Night Trap. I don't know her name, but she's like runs away in the 3rd scene there and whatever. But that's my favorite. That's my 3rd favorite female character of all gaming.
Night Trap. Watch out!
Have you actually played this?
Night
I never
Trap.
actually played it.
No, I've seen Let's Plays of it a lot. It's
okay.
It's very well known and well referenced in retro gaming circles. That's for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. And we also got word of Boiling Bolt, which is a Steam game. It's a twin-stick shooter that is being announced for Switch. It's a pretty cool-looking and very intricate-looking twin-stick shooter in that, like, where most of these games have pretty simple graphics and you're just, you know, they look like just 2D places. This really does go all in with the 3D graphics and the full backgrounds and open environments, and it looks pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with how this looks.
But other than that, there's a cool trailer, and we'll link to that there if anyone wants to check it out. I mean, I feel like that 3D graphics is really what it's selling you on, and the bright worlds.
It definitely reminds me of those well-reviewed Super Stardust Ultra games on the PS4.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, those are very well renowned 2D 3D shmups like this, and I welcome any of these games into the Switch.
It has a very shmuppy kind of feel.
Yes.
Yeah, it is like that, yeah. And the new releases for this week, we have, well, Sonic Mania.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
Definitely new release this week.
Uh-huh.
Definitely new release.
Everybody. Troll and I came out. So again, everyone wants that. That's the co-op between the big troll character and the little person who has to save, that's what you got to use to solve puzzles and get out of trouble. King of Fighters 2000, which is our, Neo Geo fighting game of the week.
Yep. And next week, Minecraft Story Mode is coming out, which is exciting to Minecraft fans out there.
Yeah, I wonder how much of an overlap there is between Minecraft fans and the story mode fans with the Telltale, kind of games.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder how much overlap or demand there is for a Minecraft Telltale game. I know there's a lot of people who are fans of the Minecraft franchise, and maybe Telltale was able to devise a story that would be interesting in that world. Who knows? But what's most noteworthy is that Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle is coming out next week, Casey.
I know.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into this turn-based strategy game. that I really wasn't expected to be excited for.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious how this is going to play out. It's definitely, of the games that came out so far for the Switch, it's the game that's most in my genre. So and it's the genre I feel is most missing from the Switch right now. I said it early on that we needed some good strategy games. This looks like it's doing something fun and interesting that I did not expect. And I want to get my hands on it.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks away, so it's really coming close.
Yes, right. And what's coming even closer is the Community Pulse. We have a lot of questions and a lot of comments to go over, so let's shift gears and listen to what you people have to say.
Yeah, let's do it. Community Pulse. Alright, so Lawson Culver asked us, with the Switch being a fully fledged portable console, what are the implications for the 3DS/2DS? Is there really a need for it anymore? Well, yes, there's definitely a need for 3DS/2DS right now, because there are games coming out for it that aren't on the Switch quite yet. I feel like they're going to be phasing out that platform just so they can eventually focus on the Switch primarily.
I mean, there's definitely some people, I feel it's a shrinking number, but there's some people who might even consider buying a DS family system right now because there's still a massive library for that system of great games that they probably won't bring to the Switch because games that have been made for it were, it's a lot cheaper to make a game for a 3DS than it is for the Switch upgrade. Like if you're into your Phoenix Wrights, your Professor Laytons, there's a few games we got another Pokemon game still coming for it. That's alone is a reason for people to have the 3DS there, and it's going to be at least a year before we have that Pokemon RPG on the Switch.
Right, but at this point, considering the word of how easy it is to develop for the Switch, most companies are probably going to allocate their resources to making a new Switch game as opposed to making a new 3DS game that they kind of can see is a bit of a fading platform. The Switch is really where new developers want to go, and primarily, I feel like the 3DS games that are out there or coming out is probably about the last of its kind.
I don't think there's cannibalization of the sales. It's there's still a lot of people who are using a 3DS, I feel, because it's just one step more portable. It's a one step cheaper, and same for all the games for it.
Yeah,
so
it already has a big library. It's a natural progression of Nintendo's consoles. I feel like it's the 3DS was eventually going to be faded out and replaced by something else, and it's natural, and it's not knocking anything about the 3DS.
Right. We've talked about this before, but it's good to touch on it every couple of months just to see where along it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Tony Lyons wrote, do you feel that Switch gamers are getting bored of or moving on to other games too quickly? The reason I ask is when a big game comes out, they play it for a bit and then just neglect it when another big game comes out. I think this is just a common phenomenon in all gaming, and it's what we call the cult of the new. And it exists, especially even in board games and stuff like that. There's just a large percentage of people who are always looking for the new thing. There's people who buy games that they haven't opened and they're buying new games before they even played the ones they own.
Casey.
It's just, yeah.
I'm very much guilty of that.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, I have a couple, even tabletop games, I have a couple games that I got super excited for, but that I haven't gotten around to opening yet. I am very guilty of this. But
I think it's actually not super rare.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's something that's specific to the Switch. But I do think if you're someone who notices that or feel that that's too much, it just means that you're the kind of person who might need to find those communities that settle around a game. A lot of gamers are nomads, but then there's a large number that like they settle and like, you know, you got to find, like, if you want to keep playing ARMS, find the ARMS community and kind of hunker down with them and enjoy that game more.
Speaking of community, I definitely cherish our community for trying out those games, jumping from one game to another, but still revisiting the older games on the platform like ARMS or Mario Kart. I feel like, especially even with our legacy tournaments, Splatoon 2 is the big hotness right now, but we're still supporting an ARMS tournament, and that's something that we really want to try to keep going. One Press L2P. Little fun question. With Mario and Rabbids coming soon, would you have any other fun crossover ideas for games you'd like on the Switch? Okay, this is a little weird, though definitely possible. I'm a big fan of Sonic, and I'm a big fan of Mega Man. While they did cross over in Super Smash Bros., I would kind of like to see those two in their own game. Because if you think about it, in Sonic, the robots are the enemies, because Eggman turns little creatures into robots and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Mega Man's a robot. That would be an interesting little conflict or crossover that could happen. Okay. Actually, I even thought of a crossover today because someone in our chat room had a Persona avatar. And it made me, and it reminded me of another game series that I want to see a crossover, and I think would mesh well with. Because the last Persona crossover with the Fire Emblem was just so like random and just done, for branding purposes. It didn't feel natural. What I feel that would be a great crossover would be, and I don't even like the Persona series that much, but I feel this would be great. Persona / dot hack. Okay. All right. So I dig the Persona half. Dot hack's pretty cool too. How do you say that would work, Casey?
Why? So like the dot hack, and I'm looking more at like the GU universe, which had a aesthetic style that was very similar. They had avatars of the 8 phases. There were these avatars that were very similar to the kind of avatars that the Persona characters summoned and became, right? But they also had that whole shtick where they all went into that, other world that was like, in there was like the demon world and the TVs, right? In one of those games. Right, in
Persona 4, that's right.
Right. And Dot Hack is a game about this MMO, this in-game world where there were consequences in the real world for what you did in the MMO. I think it would be very easy to tie, all right, this,
this MMO is the alternate reality world that is producing the conflict in the Persona world.
Yeah, I think there's something there for them to tie, but I also feel that there's a good, symmetry between the avatars of the phases and, and their aesthetic style. Like, there's been people, when I showed them what the phases look like, they're like, oh, is that from Persona? Like, they have a very similar art style, and it would mesh pretty well, I think. And the characters are also have that same kind of thing. There's the characters in the real world. They go to school. They have to do things before they log into the game and then take on the challenges that are there. And they have relationships and all that kind of stuff outside of the missions that are of the main plot drive.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking at the phases, and I can see how they can be interpreted as coming from Persona. So,
are you looking at the GU ones?
Yeah, the GU phases.
Okay, yes, exactly.
So yeah, I dig it. I was not quite there with you, Casey, but now I'm fully on board with Dot Hack Persona.
Okay, it'll never happen, but I want it. We can dream.
Yeah, let's merge our two fan bases.
Okay, here's one I don't think we've ever actually asked before. So Pedro Paliz wrote, how important are achievements / trophies to you? I think Switch needs this. I still favor some multi-platform games on Xbox One because of this.
Now, in my case, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the biggest achievement or trophy hunter out there, so it's not that much of a concern for me. But I cannot deny just the amount of replayability or enjoyment that people get from trophies or achievements. It is a lot of fun to do something and see an achievement pop up for what you did, especially if it's something that you didn't expect to get an achievement for. And I find those little quirky achievements or trophies pop-ups to be really fun and something that could potentially prolong a game past its standard replayability.
I acknowledge the strength of achievements and how they can add or push someone to play a game a bit deeper than maybe they would have. And, you know, there's a little bit of that bragging rights. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing them linked to, like, here's a little badge you could put on your avatar so people could see, like, ooh, he, you know, did this cool little thing or whatever. I personally don't really care about them. I thought I would. You know, when I got my Vita and I was trying to get a few achievements here and there, after a while I realized, like, no, I don't want to keep playing this game and not move on to the next game just because I want to get some silly title. So it's something that I quit and just didn't care about, but I totally think it's an easy way to get some people a little more motivated to play through some of the games. You know, especially some of the big achievements. I don't think it needs all those stupid little achievements like you played through the first chapter of this game. I do think it would be best, in my opinion, if it was only like big achievements. That's the only thing that mattered. Like I got the 100% Zelda or something like that, you know?
I guess I can see that. Though, honestly, my favorite achievements are kind of the ironic ones. So, for example, I was playing Prey on the PS4, and at the very beginning, you're shipped onto this helicopter, and once you get off the helicopter, you're on the roof, and you can just walk into the stairs, down the stairs. One time, I was curious and hopped onto the helicopter himself, and jumped up, and the helicopter blade spinning killed me. And I got a hilarious pop-up achievement called No Show. And you get the achievement from dying to helicopter blades on your first day on the job. And that made me crack up quite a bit. So, you know, just little really quirky stuff that the developers know that you might run into and recognize that this is something really silly. I think those are fun.
Okay. All right. I can go for that too. That's fine too. I'll allow it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for your blessing, Casey. So Montague Lamas said, how do you feel about devs promising to bring over more of their games to the Switch if the one they release does well? Do you feel like you should support games you don't like or won't play just for the chance that you may get the game you want in the future?
That is one of those debates. I feel like there's a lot of people who cheerlead for a company and they will tell you to buy things so that, oh, this has to do well, you know, otherwise they won't bring the good stuff. I mean, I feel like this is one of those things that it sounds like something you'd be in favor of, but I feel like you'd be on my side. I do not feel that you should ever buy a game you not 100% feel is worth the price just to support it or support a company. That's not how companies work, in my opinion. I feel that you buy what you like and don't let them blackmail you for or hold future games hostage. Buy this game that you don't really like and maybe we'll make the one you like. That's just B.
Yeah, it is a really interesting way to put it, right? They're kind of putting you hostage for for that. But I've been on the other side of development. I can kind of see where things are going, or where the developers come from, where you want to test the waters with a smaller investment game. And if there's interest in that, then maybe bring in a bigger investment game. But yeah, I agree. It's not necessarily always the best practice, because unless it's a game in the same genre or same franchise, I feel like there might not be much correlation involved. For example, if EA brings in an NBA game to test the waters on the Switch and see if people would be interested in EA games on the Switch. I'm not a fan of NBA games, but I'm a fan of EA's Mass Effect series. I don't want to have to buy that NBA game just to show them that there are EA fans that would want their other games on the console.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they do something like maybe Capcom does Monster Hunter, they bring in Monster Hunter Double Cross and test out that for the Switch for that game franchise, and maybe promising to bring other Monster Hunter games on the Switch, I would be a bit more inclined to be supportive of that because I like the franchise and would enjoy that gameplay anyway. But especially considering the way the industry generally handles it, I'm not the biggest fan.
I mean, yeah, I understand why they got to do it. Yeah, exactly what you said. You know, you dip your feet in, you try to get a game successful, and if it works, then you bring in the big guns. But yeah, I mean, look, just if they don't make a game you like, they probably won't even make the next game something you like.
Right.
You know, you have to see where it's coming from like that. Granted, that said, if tomorrow Konami said, we're releasing this pachinko game for $30 on Switch eShop, and if you buy it enough, we'll make Suikoden 7 on the Switch. Yeah, okay. I guess they got my $30.
That's where you draw the line, Casey, on Suikoden.
We all got weaknesses. We all have, you know, emotional hostage taking.
To be fair, that is absolutely true. If they release an Armored Core pachinko game, I would to bring in that franchise to the Switch, I would do it. I really would.
To close up tonight, I think this is a good, just general question. Ian Humphreys Graham wrote, do you guys think the Switch concept is the future of consoles for both Nintendo and others, or just a generational concept? Basically asking if the hybrid nature of the system is a thing that's going to stay, or is it just like, you know, waggle physics from, I guess, the Wii, or if that's just like a thing that was popular and it'll go away.
Right. Maybe it's a phase for the gaming industry, you think? Well, okay, so let's look at Nintendo's history just for a little bit. Nintendo released the Wii with motion controls, and everyone flocked to the Wii. Then all the other gaming companies tried to release their own motion controls. The Wii U came out, people liked the tablet, and then other gaming industry people tried to do that sort of integration. And now with the Switch, there's the whole portable console concept. Is this going to affect the industry as a whole like Nintendo's other products have?
The way I see it is all the things that Nintendo did with their previous systems never went away. They just became almost the norm for systems in the future. I mean, now motion controls are just a thing that
the Switch can do.
Yeah, that, like, you know, systems in the future do. I mean, do the current, even, like, I don't know, tell me if, like, does the PS4 have, like, a motion control?
Right, it does. The PS4 does have motion controls built into the controllers.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's just a thing. Like, you don't even think about it. It's just they have incorporated this into the DNA of games for the future. Will every console in the future be hybrid down the line? No, I think there's going to be room for, this is my massive home system that's 10,000 times more powerful than yours, but I think that the feature of a portable, you know, undocking mode of a system is going to be something that might get incorporated into the DNA. We'll probably see, who knows, like the PS5 might have a undockable feature that lets you play it as like a Game Gear on the go or something like that. I feel like it's something that will exist in some form or another for the foreseeable future of gaming. I do think it's going to have the effect.
Yes, I do agree. Just the sheer quality, or the sheer advantage of being able to game on the go with your console might be something that other game industry companies will recognize as a very strong concept and might adopt into their own system. It's not necessarily. It doesn't even necessarily have to be implemented the same way Nintendo does it, but it might be something that they would prioritize in the future for upcoming consoles.
Yeah, like just not necessarily full-fledged, you know, undocking of your system, but they might incorporate something like here's your PlayStation Watch that lets you catch up on your game or do some sort of things or, on the go, or maybe someone will try again, what the Vita was supposed to be, where it was like, your system that could connect to your home console, and maybe there'd be a system that streams the game, like the Shield was trying to do, right?
Right, yes, essentially. Or the Wii U, which was essentially streaming to a nearby tablet.
So yeah, hope that answers your question, everybody. But thank you all for writing in. We really appreciate it. You made this an interesting discussion segment.
Yeah, for sure. That was those are some meaty community question, guys. And
yes,
we really appreciate it.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening. Even if you didn't write in, we still appreciate it. And if you'd like to support the show and like to keep us going and doing more, visit our Patreon page. That's patreon.com/TheSwitchCast. And that's where you can go. You can pledge $1, $5, $10, whatever you feel comfortable with, in order to support the show as kind of a monthly subscription to us. And that's how we basically pay for everything that we do to make this show. You can also review us on iTunes, or you can also review us on the Apple Podcasts app or whatever application you use to listen to us. Those reviews go a long way to making sure everybody sees us and sees 5 stars and knows, this is the show we have to download, us Switch Addicts. Of course, we always are talking about our Discord chat. That's the place to go. It's also a requirement. If you want to join some of the tournaments, I've kind of made it a requirement to join the Discord because it's just the easiest way to coordinate our competitions. So definitely check out the link to the Discord chat and join in, or just lurk. Everyone's happy if, just to see your name there and listen to what we have to say, or join in the chat. And you can email me, kc@theswitchcast.com, or this guy over here is jv@theswitchcast.com.
Yeah, and for more ways to get in contact with us, we have a Twitter. That's @TheSwitchCast. Also an Instagram @TheSwitchCast as well. Go ahead and join the Facebook group, which is another very active and positive Nintendo Switch community that you can join. Just search for a SwitchCast community on Facebook. We even have a SwitchCast friends list that you can join. There's a whole lot of friends you can add if you don't have anyone to play locally. We'll add that to the show notes, and it's available on the Facebook group as well. Thanks again to the HeatleyBros for the theme music of our show. And until next time,
switch it up!